welcome to This Week in Sports for Friday, January 22nd, 2016. I'm Mike McClung alongside Evan Olawani and Tyler Dobransky. This is actually our first normal show of 2016, so we're going to cap it off the way we always do, let's be honest here. We're going to talk about some NFL divisional round football, the recap from last week. Mine and Tyler's teams both got knocked out.
But mine was a better game.
So in that case, do you want to start?
Yeah. All right. I just want to say 7th round draft pick, Jeff Janis. He's my new favorite receiver. No, I'm kidding, Jordy Nelson. But Jeff Janis surprised me with that Hail Mary, of course, but it was a good game all the way through. Halftime, the Packers were leading 7-6, which I was like, all right, we're still in this. And we had the lead most of the third quarter, and then Carson Palmer threw a touchdown to Michael Floyd, which I was really mad about.
That was a great throw.
No, but did you see
John
Brown had
that
more than five?
that one. I'm thinking of a different one. Yeah, that was just crazy.
I was
that
like
was tipped up. And
I was so mad about that one anyway, but I'm very proud of the Packers this year. They didn't have their best receiver. Their offensive line was banged up most of the year, and their defense did a little bit lackluster, but they still did good.
But, I mean, I know they didn't have a lot of pieces, but Aaron Rodgers, let's be honest, had a bad year. Even though with the pieces around him, he still had a down year this year, not the same that we're used to.
He had a down year, but he still had a good year. It was just a down year for an Aaron Rodgers caliber player. Compared to the normal numbers of the regular guys around the league, he still had an awesome year. I think he still should go to the Pro Bowl. But, yeah, that was probably the best game I've ever seen.
How about the best ending to a game?
That too. I mean, from beginning to end.
At the end, I'm like, there's no doubt in my mind Rodgers is going to throw a Hail Mary, and it's going to be caught. You just assume that now.
I didn't assume that.
7th round draft pick Jeff Janis. 7th round.
But here's the thing, you're never going to hear of him again. Let's be honest. You think you're going to hear him
when
again?
Jordy comes, he was the 4th guy in the depth chart, so he doesn't get a lot of playing time. Randall Cobb's out for the game. Devontae Adams is banged up. Jordy's out from the beginning, so they had to bring in Jared Benitez and Jeff Janis, and they both didn't do that bad.
That's not how you pronounce his name. But that's
okay. I'm sorry.
You tried your best, but yeah, I don't know. That was a great game. I think the 4th and 20 play where they picked it up in their own 5-yard line, I think, to keep that drive alive. That goes overlooked. That was huge too. They really had 2 plays where they needed to get
Lacey's run,
huge
I think,
chunks.
sparked something.
Oh,
yeah. And the Packers really just turned it on in the playoffs. I think hats off to them. So they had a great run.
And really just left Larry Fitzgerald wide open, and he made them pay.
They got knocked out by a really good team.
What about Carolina? I thought Seattle was really good, and then Carolina, they kind of 31-0 at half. I mean, they did come back in the beginning, the most of the fourth quarter and the second half and everything, but I think Carolina is the odds-on favorite right now.
And it's going to be a toss. So I actually have the Cardinals winning the whole thing, but I think whoever wins the NFC is probably going to win the whole thing, which we're getting to a little bit later. But that was one of the weirdest games I've ever seen. I've never seen a game where one team was just so dominant in one half, and the other half it was the complete opposite. Seattle just really outplayed them the second half. But it's just Carolina, a little bit more in the first half, and that was the difference in it.
Yeah, I mean, 31-0, that's hard to come back from anything. And they made a good run. They had a shot, and the onside kick was a good attempt. Didn't get it, but I think the final score was 24-31. So, I mean, the Panthers, that second half, that's a little scary if you think about that. What happened? And I think, they really couldn't get first downs. Seattle's defense stepped up. But I don't know if that's going to be in the back of mind for the Panthers going forward.
Speaking of Seattle, Marshawn Lynch is thinking about retiring. He's only 29. That's kind of surprising to everyone. What do you guys think about that?
God,
Marshawn Lynch, he's had a lot of sports hernias. He's made a fair amount of money, let's be honest here. He's done everything he wanted. He got a Super Bowl ring. I don't see it's a big deal. I think he's 30 or 29.
Yeah.
I don't see him going out as a big issue. I think it's his time, honestly, in a way.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not a market for him. A guy like him with a couple, not off the field problems necessarily, but he's not the greatest guy that you want on your team. Yeah, stuff like that. And 29 for a running back is actually pretty old. You're kind of getting there.
Except if you're AP.
Well, the AP is a freak of nature, but this is a different story where he's really pushing the end of his career anyway. I don't have a problem with it. If you got that Super Bowl, you got the money. What else are you playing for? No, that's not true. You want to win more, but.
And plus the Seattle scene this year that Thomas Rawls is he's a good replacement for Marshawn Lynch if he does decide to retire. So I think Seattle will be all right if he does retire. So
yeah, they did it without him this year.
True.
So do we want to touch on the other games, or we want to just move on?
No, let's talk about
Denver and Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah, okay. Let's talk about that game. What do you think?
Peyton Manning.
That was a tough one.
I think Peyton Manning is surprised that he's not as dominant as he was. Pittsburgh,
but he still got the job done. That's what matters.
I don't agree. I don't think Peyton Manning did just about anything in that game. Their
I-
run game
I
was very solid.
disagree.
And their
Oh,
defense.
Okay, and their defense was very solid. Peyton didn't have any
He
touchdowns.
did what he had to
didn't
do.
have that many yards.
He made the good completions when he
No,
had to.
everything was set
he
up
had
off
no
the run
He had
game.
no turnovers. That's all it was. He had no turnovers, and that's what allowed them to win.
And no
Also,
touchdowns.
just think about it this way. Pittsburgh hung on with it with Fitzgerald Trufant, who's the third string running back, without Antonio Brown, with just Marcus Wheaton, Martavis Bryant, who are still both very good. And Ben himself was banged up with shoulder problems. So banged up Pittsburgh hung in there with Denver, which worries me because the Patriots are a lot better than
No.
Pittsburgh.
They were a lot better than Pittsburgh was on that Sunday, but if Pittsburgh at full strength could compete with the Patriots. Compete. I'm not saying they would have won. Anyway, that's not the point. That's not what we're discussing. Denver really, they played good. Their defense is good. They have probably the best defense in the league, and I think that's what won them the game. But they had great field position all night. They were getting the ball in Pittsburgh's territory, getting field goals early on, and Peyton couldn't punch it in. And the run game on that final drive when they finally broke through and got the touchdown and 2-point conversion, the only reason they went right down the field is because of the run game. Peyton didn't make any big passes, and I think you got to give it all to C.J. Anderson and Ronnie Hillman. C.J. Anderson really had a bigger game. And the Steelers have been good at stopping the run all year, and they couldn't do it in this game, and that's why the Broncos were able to get the win.
Yeah, I don't think the
I
Broncos
think
showed.
overall, though, I think the Broncos deserve to be there. I really do. I don't think that the Steelers had a great offense, but their defense was just so bad the whole year.
They turned it on in the playoffs. You got to give it to them.
Yeah,
They
did
didn't
a
lose
little
that
bit,
game
yeah.
because
They'll get someone
their
in the
defense.
draft. Don't worry, they'll be good.
And an untimely, it's not for that untimely fumble, I'm not going to go every play and make an excuse for it. But if a third string running back doesn't fumble, where Le'Veon Bell would never fumble, he hasn't fumbled in 2.5 years, they probably win that game. They probably get a touchdown. They were driving on that. But that's what happens. It's the NFL.
It's sports.
That's
So now
the way
we got
it is.
only 4 teams left. What's your pick here?
Who's gonna win each
Who's gonna
game?
win each
Oh,
game?
Because
you
That's
can't go
my pick.
against Tom Brady and the Patriots. I'm sorry. Gronk, Edelman, the
Oh.
defense is good.
it's back.
Tom Brady
Are you okay?
is just so good. You can't stop him. It's not fair.
I mean, the Eagles beat them, so you can stop
No,
them.
no,
the
no,
Eagles
no.
beat
Stop
the
it.
Patriots.
Stop it.
Can we have like a handicap? Like maybe like they get like 7 points to start the game. Whoever faces
No, it
the
doesn't work like that.
Patriots are going to the Super Bowl and Carolina's going, and Cam Newton. I don't know how he's gonna do it, but Cam Newton will win the Super Bowl right now. Bold prediction. Cam
It's really not that bold at
No,
this
not
point.
at all.
But all right, Evan, go ahead.
I agree with Tyler, though. I have the Carolina Panthers and New England Patriots. And honestly, I'd rather see Denver and Cardinals in it, but I just don't think that's going to be the case this time. Cam Newton, he's playing too good right now, and you got to give it to him right now. And I think he's going to win the next 2 games and win the Super
I'm
Bowl.
glad you agree.
All right, interesting. I agree with the Patriots. I don't think the Broncos are in any shape to be beating, especially Peyton Manning.
I think that's gonna be a close
This
game,
is
though.
the law.
Closer
Like,
than
the
what
law
people
of
think.
football, Peyton cannot beat Brady. Like, Eli beats Brady,
Listen,
and then Brady beats
They
Peyton.
split 2-2 in the playoffs, so I'm just saying.
But all time,
11-5 all time. Brady's got the upper hand.
Peyton doesn't beat Brady that often. So I think they're going to win that game. And I'm actually going to take the Cardinals in that one. I talked a little bit about it before, but I don't know. I just
I
feel like
think Palmer with that finger is really messing him up.
he's had he's a little bit of time off now. I think he's going to be just fine.
I mean, I want the Cardinals to win. I want Larry Fitzgerald and
Yeah.
Carson
Yeah.
Carson Palmer both to get that ring.
If I
But
could pick any team, it'd be the Cardinals.
yeah, like they're like the fan favorite, but like the odds-on favorite has to either be the Patriots or the Panthers. But I'm sorry, the Panthers are gonna beat the Cardinals.
I mean, hey, you never know. Anything could happen. That's why they play the games.
Yeah, that's why Aaron Rodgers can throw.
So I'm going to assume Evan went and changed my script here. You get a player, you get a player, everyone gets a player. I think that's
Oprah.
an Oprah reference. All right. There have been a lot of big deals in Major League Baseball so far. So do you want to talk about any of them?
Want to start?
Cespedes?
Well, there's
Yeah,
a lack thereof.
Well, we're going to talk about him. We have our own segment for him next. Any other ones? I just want to jump the gun on there.
Any recent ones? Not really. I don't have in mind. I mean, there was all Cueto's
Justin
and
Upton.
Justin Upton to the Tigers, who got a big deal. He got what?
Chris Davis.
6
Oh,
years.
sorry, I don't want to.
6 years and like 120 something million.
Just an insane amount of money.
And Justin
Too
Upton,
much.
Too much. Chris Davis, who he
Oh,
had
he
like he
was-
batted like 230 this
Too
year.
much.
Too much.
Listen, you have one good year in the MLB, and you're just amazing all of a sudden. I'm just
Give me that shot. I want to be a multimillionaire. Come on, let me get that shot.
Every baseball player is overpaid. I think it's just ridiculous the amount of money they make for.
Wait, Daniel Murphy goes to the Nationals. I don't think he's that good to begin with. I really don't. I think he's overrated. I think he had one good playoff run. He's an average
One
baseball
good.
player.
He had a great
Listen,
playoff run.
He's an average player. He's no, Bryce Harper, but he's no slub. Okay, he's a good player, but the Nationals, Why would you diss the Mets
I
like
hate
that?
this so much because like that was so long ago, and then just the two Mets fans just come in and
Because
take over.
it's just
Because
it's
it hurts.
like that's like
painful.
you see an ex-girlfriend go to your best friend or something. Like you don't do that.
It's just, it's not morally right.
Okay.
You don't go to
Wouldn't
the
it be like an
rival.
ex-girlfriend going to like your enemy or something?
No, your
It wouldn't.
best friend.
The
'cause,
Mets and
like,
Nationals aren't best friends though.
No, but you were best friends with
This is gone.
Daniel Murphy.
What other players have you seen?
Now do you want to talk about Cespedes? I think he's
Yeah.
probably the only big one that hasn't really landed yet.
Listen, where is he going? Is he going to the Nationals?
If he
They
goes to
offered
the
him a
Nationals,
5-year
I might just give up on Love.
Oh God, it's 5 year, $100 million. That's hard to say no to, though.
I-
The Mets gave him, I think that's like a 3-year deal, but like an option after the first year.
I don't think he's going to go to the Mets. I think it's between the Nationals, White Sox, and maybe the Padres. Just don't count them out
I'm
just
still giving
yet.
Tigers a tiny bit shot, even though they had a big signing. Who knows?
I mean,
That's
if
fair.
they have Upton and they sign Cespedes, their outfield gets 10 times better. But I mean, me and you both want Cespedes to go to the Mets. He's a fan favorite there and everything. But I think he could be going to the Nationals, sadly, or like you said,
The
White
White
Sox,
Sox,
someone
yeah.
like that. I don't know. I don't see him going to the Mets.
He's
even though I
giving
want
everyone
him.
mixed signals right now. He's
Yeah.
not telling anyone what he's doing.
Yeah.
It's hard to read him.
Yeah, he's very.
Cespedes gets his own segment because we have two Met fans on the set. Moving on to basketball now. The Cavs got absolutely blown out by the Warriors the other night. This is a finals rematch from last year. Does this mean something or is this nothing?
It's nothing because
It's
it's not playoffs. I really think that playoffs bring a new intensity to both teams, and it's not playoffs, so it's.
They were down by 40-something points in that game. That's a lot for LeBron.
LeBron James have like 100 or 1,200 games. That's like the most he's ever
Yeah.
trailed. So
Let
that's,
me
that's
just say,
something.
LeBron James is the best player in the NBA.
Do you really believe that?
Yes.
Still, this year.
I don't care about Steph Curry stats. I don't care about any of that. LeBron James will lead that team to the playoffs this year, and
Well,
this year
obviously,
he
That's
will.
not a question.
Well, obviously, but he will overcome the Warriors this year if they meet in the finals. Last year he didn't have Kyrie Irving. Kevin Love was banged up. He had Dellavedova, who was apparently the greatest new point guard, who was not even. LeBron, I don't
seem mad
this,
today.
Tyler is really angry
this,
right now.
this game didn't mean anything. I don't care if they were trailing by 40 or whatever. It doesn't mean anything. The Warriors lost to the Bucks. Does that mean anything?
Teams lose to other
Does-
teams
does
all
that
the
mean-
time. That's
wait,
how
this
the
is
NBA
like a
works.
40
Exactly.
point
They
lead.
just lost right now, so it doesn't matter.
Okay. That's fair. You're entitled to that. I'm just saying, look, the Cavs had their full strength for the first time against this really good Warriors
Yeah.
team, and they got crushed. They got absolutely crushed. They haven't been able to beat the Warriors. They've won 2 out of, 7 now, last 6 or whatever, dating back to the finals. I'm not saying it's a huge deal, but it's a concern that you can't beat this team even when you're at full strength. And to lose by the way they did, that was really bad. And I think you should at least be able to hang in there, or else you're not going to be able to beat them come playoff time because, we're assuming they're going to get the finals, which is not at all a done deal. But if you can't beat them now,
They
how are
got
you
the
going to beat them
Spurs.
4 out of 7?
You still got the Spurs. It's not a done deal. They're going to the
I-
finals.
okay.
Spurs are
I
pretty
know that's
good
what
this year.
that's why I said it.
But
like that.
yeah. I mean, like I said, it doesn't matter. It's still a very 46 points, and you have LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Love on the team.
All right, Tyler's a little bit too heated right now. We're going to go to commercial, and when we come back, we're going to have a guest star, Mike DeMay, out here to talk about some teams that were able to make a big comeback this year.
Join us this summer as we tour Spain, Germany, and Austria from June 30th to July 6th. We start our trip in southern Spain on the sunny beaches of Torremolinos before we move on to the architectural masterpiece that is Granada. We visit Cordoba, once one of the world's centers of learning, on our way to Madrid. At 2,000 feet, this is Europe's highest capital, a mecca for art lovers, and home to the world's most famous soccer team. Embark on a half-day journey to the former Spanish capital of Toledo, and then stop in the beautiful medieval city of Segovia. We fly to Munich, Germany, the capital of Bavaria. From there, we visit Neuschwanstein, the inspiration for Disney's castles. Down the road is Linderhof Palace. The palace is quite unique. Enter a secret door in the side of a small mountain to enter an artificial underground lake, built 150 years ago by the eccentric King Ludwig II. Take a ferry to the island of Herreninsel to tour another of King Ludwig's castles, Herrenchiemsee. Spend the day in Salzburg, the birthplace of Mozart. Our tour takes us to the house where Mozart was born, as well as to the squares and gardens of this beautiful city, which was crowned by the 11th century Hohensalzburg fortress. The city, also known as home of the singing Von Trapp family, was the setting for the movie The Sound of Music. Just outside Salzburg is the Berchtesgaden salt mines. Take a train ride deep into the side of a mountain, slide down the miner's chute, and tour a salt mine first used over 800 years ago. Our 2-week tour costs approximately $4,000. The price fluctuates slightly depending on the number of travelers. The more travelers, the lower the price. If you have any questions, please contact Mr. Edens or Mr. Grillon.
So here we are. Welcome back. This is Mike DeMeo. Mike won Senior Superlative Total Turnaround for having the biggest change from freshman year to now. So what better person to be an expert on the teams that were able to do that as well? So do you want to start by saying, with the Carolina Panthers, how did they go from having a mediocre season last year to being almost undefeated this year, going 15-1?
Well, Mike, thank you for that intro. It's very great to be here, and I love to have my opinion on how these teams did this year. And starting off with the Panthers right now, 7-8-1 last year. I mean, that's not really good enough to win a division, but I mean, luckily for them, they won the division due to how bad the wild card was, I believe.
No, the NFC South.
The NFC
Yeah,
South,
right.
that was correct. And they won the playoff game last year, then got crushed by the Seahawks, and then this year, honestly, Cam Newton stepped it up. I mean, he got more experience, and he's having the time of his life. He's having fun out there. He's dabbing everywhere, giving out footballs to fans, and offensive line keeping him healthy. He may not have his star receiver, Kelvin Benjamin, due to that ACL tear in the beginning of the season, but other people are stepping it up. Greg Olsen, his number one go-to guy, great year, catches almost everything thrown to him, and another breakout wide receiver, Ted Ginn Jr. I mean,
But he only had like 2 catches every game.
No,
But every catch was
they,
like 100
they were
yards.
they were big. I mean, it helped.
Yeah, they
it
were
helps the
important
team.
catches, right.
And Jonathan Stewart's also having I think he's having a very good year. I feel like he's very underrated in the NFL. I could honestly compare him to Le'Veon Bell. I feel like he's good out of the backfield. Going out for a pass, he's good. He's a good receiver, good running back. I feel like he has everything that he needs to be a good running back. And the Panthers this year are a very good team, and I see them being in the Super Bowl this year for the NFC, beating the Cardinals, possibly winning it all. I don't know about that, but very good season this year. Everyone in Carolina has a lot to be happy about with them.
Any disagreement there with
I
anything
couldn't
he
say
said?
anything better
I
myself.
thought that was really good. I mean, you get the little twist nerves out of the way, and you're doing good. You want to move on to the Chiefs now?
I would love to. All right, so the Chiefs, they did have a really good, not really good season last year, but 9-7, that's good. Not good enough to make the playoffs, unfortunately, with who's in their division. They have the Broncos, who outstanding team. Last year they were good. And this year they did not have the best start. 2-5, I believe, is 1-5. 1-5 is how they started off their season. And they got their first win off after that 5-game winning streak against the Steelers. It pains me to say that. But after that win, they just came surging back. Their defense, Houston, really good defensive end on their team. He stepped it up. Alex Smith, I feel like he's also underrated.
Yeah, I do too.
He's not the best. Honestly, I don't feel like the Chiefs are going to be a Super Bowl contender with him as quarterback. But, 10-game winning streak to make the playoffs, I feel like that's
But this
really
is my
impressive.
question. They go 1-5, lose their best player on offense, Jamal Charles, and then win 10 in a row. Can you explain that to me?
I feel like
did.
Yeah, but
Weren't you listening?
Charkandrick West,
Oof.
no name. Who was he? Did you know who Charkandrick West was before?
I did not.
Jamal Charles got injured. Everyone thought no chance at all for a comeback. Then this young player comes out of nowhere and just, shines every single game. I wish I had him on my fantasy team. He destroyed me when I played teams with him. And, he usually has those running games where, one play he just like a breakout play, goes for 80 yards on one play. And I feel like he did very well. And I forget who also he splits time with in the backfield.
Spencer
as well. Ware's also. I feel like Ware is also very good. The Chiefs have good running backs right now. You know, Jamal
Yeah,
Charles
they're
can
in very
stay.
good shape.
Jamal Charles can stay healthy. You know, he hasn't really been the healthiest player the last few years, but if he can stay healthy, I feel like the Chiefs will have a very, very strong running game. And if they can figure out their QB situation, you know, I feel like Alex Smith is not ready to make a run for the Super Bowl right now. So if they can maybe try and find a different QB, or if Alex Smith can really just have a breakout year like Cam Newton did this year, I feel like the Chiefs can, you know, possibly make a Super Bowl run. So
Yeah, and you didn't even talk about how great they were in the turnover differential department going from there on out. Didn't turn the ball over at all and forced like 2 a game, so that definitely get you extra possessions. That can definitely help.
Yep.
So
And yeah, I mean, if you make the other teams pay for their mistakes, obviously you're going to win games. You know, that's how the Broncos beat the Steelers this weekend. You know, made them
Everything goes
pay
back
for
to
their
the Steelers.
mistakes. Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, that has to happen. But you know, if you make the team pay, just play off their mistakes. You know, don't turn the ball over. Like play small ball. You know, I think you'll just win every single game that you play.
Wow.
All right.
Bold statement there.
Hey, that's all right. Thank you for joining us this week. We'd love to have you back next week, but that's going to wrap it up for This Week in Sports for this week. For Evan Olawani, Mike DeMeo, and Tyler Dobransky, who appeared earlier, I'm Mike McClung. Have a fantastic day.
They say I'm emotional. What I wanna say about kill. Is that who I truly am? I truly don't have a chance. Tomorrow I'll keep a beat and repeat yesterday's dance. Yo, this song will never be on the radio. Even if my clip would have picked and the people would have vote. It's a few, the proud and the emotional. Yo, you bulletproof and black like a funeral.